And welcome on in, everybody, to another edition of the Auburn Undercover podcast on the 24/7 Sports Network and the Auburn Undercover YouTube channel if you're tuned in here. If you are tuned in on the YouTube, make sure to subscribe. Making the push towards, I think we're above 11,000 now or something like that, but making the push to keep getting more, and we keep putting out a ton of good content, in my opinion, all mostly because of Patrick Bingham, our fantastic intern who does a fantastic job with all the graphics and stuff like that you're seeing on the video now. That's all him. But Jason, we have a little bit of recruiting news to talk about. Wasn't a huge weekend against ULM. We're expecting a huge weekend against Texas A&M, like massive. They're going to absolutely load up. But touching on the ULM visitors, I think the biggest one, or one of the biggest ones, there were some targets in town. There was a Cincinnati offensive line commit in the 25 class, Jahari Medlock. Don't think he's going to end up getting an offer, but he's definitely worth monitoring down the stretch. And some 26 guys and 27 guys. But we touched on it on the pregame blitz. A lot of the game was bringing in your current commits and some key ones like a Donovan Starr, like a Deuce Knight, trying to solidify things with them. The biggest news was probably Donovan Starr. Talking with him after the game, he said, look, it was kind of a oxymoron almost. He said, I've kind of almost really shut my process down. So he didn't fully say he shut his process down, but the fact that you got him in when Georgia was trying to get him on an OV, he's already been to Alabama, he's already been to Vandy. You felt like you calmed the waters there for a little bit with signing day just barely over 2 weeks away. Yeah,
I think so. You're right. Getting them guys on campus is always big, and getting him back in and showing him some love, letting him see, and again, see that defense again have another big day and all those young guys making plays. Then you see the offense, the young guys making plays. That's a big deal when you start talking about, hey, keeping guys in the fold. Hey, reminding them of what they committed for it in the beginning, and I think that's been as big as anything now for the staff.
Correct, yeah. I'm talking with Starr. He said leading up to the week where it looked like he was going to officially visit Georgia over the weekend, he said he talked to Coach Crime every day, said he talked to Coach Freeze every day, said he was in constant communication with those guys, and they just kept telling him, look, you're such a priority for us. We cannot lose you. We need you in that secondary. We need you at cornerback. And they do. They need cornerbacks, and they've made that pretty clear as they're loading up, getting guys like Shamar Arnaud and Starr and Devin Williams and all the rest of those guys, and still going after Naeem Offord as well. Another key commit that was back on campus, Deuce Knight. Everyone wants to know about Deuce Knight and Jared Smith right now because Deuce Knight visited Ole Miss the previous weekend. Did not talk with Deuce. He's not really huge on interviews, wasn't really interested in doing one, but everyone that we continue to talk to feels good about Auburn being able to hold on there. It's just a matter of probably sweating it out a little bit more going into December 4th than you probably hoped you would, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's honestly, so we've been saying for the past couple of weeks, like, you're going to have to fight off battles. That's just the way it is. You're going to have to fight off battles in recruiting. You're going to have to fight off battles on your own roster. It is part of the day and age that we live in. So it's that part. But getting Deuce back in, they play on Friday night, 11:45 kick to be here.
Well, and they played further away from George County. They played like 5 hours away.
Yeah, and so to get him back to me, that shows that man, it's still for real. And so you never know what happens here at the end of this thing, but I think Auburn's still in pretty good shape with Deuce Knight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. He'll be back for the Texas A&M game, but it will be interesting to see, does he go to the Egg Bowl on Friday in a couple weeks? I guess it will depend on if his high school team is still playing or not. They have a big game against Picayune this Friday. So if they win that, he'd be playing on Friday and he wouldn't even have a chance to go. Auburn fans should probably be the biggest George County fans in the world, to be honest, this Friday, hoping that they can pull off an upset against Picayune. Jason, some other guys as well. Malik Autry, Auburn's 5-star defensive line commit. He's been flirting with Ohio State for a really long time. Same with Florida. All these other schools have come after him. We always kind of thought he would stick closer to home, stick with his Auburn commitment. He's been the longest tenured commitment in the class, joined February of 2023. I think it's trending well for Auburn there and being able to keep him, which is pretty big in keeping a 5-star close to home, not letting an out-of-state school come in and poach your guys. Think that Auburn sits in a good spot going a couple weeks into signing day with him.
A relationship guy. His family's really important to him. They're right here in Opelika. He's also a relationship guy with these other recruits. They built a really strong bond, and we talked about it. That plays such a big part in this thing, keeping those guys together. These guys have been together and talking. Alvin Henderson, all these guys. You think about Jordan Crawford. And so Malik Autry's been a big part of that. And so I think as much as anything, I think that's a big part of it for him, the opportunity, watching these freshmen play. You look at Malik Autry and you go, hey, all right, the message is easy, because you look at all the people they're losing up front and go like, look, they're going to play 2 or 3 of those interior defensive line guys, maybe all 3 of them, maybe a 4th, who knows? They're going to play those guys early. Malik Autry is going to be one of the guys that has a chance to do that.
Yeah, guy who went elsewhere this weekend, Jared Smith, Auburn's 5-star edge commitment out of Thompson, went to go visit South Carolina. A lot of buzz about South Carolina. They've always been in the mix. They were the leader for a while there in the spring. Ole Miss hosted him 2 weekends ago, and Ole Miss picked up a crystal ball prediction for him, although I would personally think South Carolina is the bigger competition there, just in my opinion.
Yeah.
But a lot of questions about him, and for me, it's wait and see up until signing day. He will be back for the Texas A&M game. He told me that on Friday night when we went to go and see him play. People are very worried about South Carolina, and I think for good reason, but at the same time, people are like, well, I hate that he's going there. And I'm like, A, it's better that he's saying he's going there and he's not trying to pull off a secret visit, because that would be even more concerning. Second thing is, you beat out South Carolina once, and there was a reason he chose Auburn there in early August, and now you just need to keep convincing him of that reason and make sure that he stays.
Yeah, you got 2 teams that are playing pretty good defense. South Carolina's season's obviously gone a little bit better because of offensive things, but Auburn's defense is played really well. And I think you look at opportunity, and there's going to be a lot of opportunity here at Auburn for Jared Smith. Going to be a lot of opportunity at South Carolina. For a guy like that has so much upside, there's going to be opportunity pretty much anywhere he goes. And so I think, again, you lean on relationships, you lean on those things for a guy like Jared Smith. Tavaris Dice. Went to Florida, yes.
Yeah, he visited Florida. Florida's always been in the mix there. Going to be another interesting one. I mean, I wish I could tell people a little bit more of, hey, Jared Smith is going here, Tavaris Dice is going here. But I don't fully know, and
they don't know either.
They don't fully know either, like you just said. With Dice, I think the big thing is he's expected back in this weekend for the Texas A&M game. Been to Auburn probably double the amount of times he's been to Florida, and he's been to Florida a good bit, but he's been to Auburn so many more times. And we're told as well that his visit to Auburn this weekend for the Texas A&M game should be a multi-day visit with his family, getting to spend a little bit more time, extended time around the coaches, not just come in for a game, talk with them for a minute before, and then drive back to Fairburn. It'll be have some meetings, spend some extra time. And this is also Florida's final home game this weekend as well, hosting Ole Miss. So you could say his visit for the LSU game was probably his last visit to Florida.
Correct.
If you had to guess. Now, obviously, you're still going to be talking to them and everything, but you probably get the last crack at getting him on campus, which is big. And he's also one of your most prized guys along the offensive line. Him and Broderick Scholl, your 2 tackles. Not to take anything away from Cale Ellis or Ty Buster or Jacoby Ward, but tackle is the position you feel like you need. I mean, obviously, everyone always points to tackle, but on Auburn's depth chart, you need tackles kind of badly, and those are 2 of your top guys.
Yeah, you got a guy like Spencer Dolan, but it sure feels like these guys are more prepared to play earlier than maybe Spencer is, a guy that they really like too. And so you look in Dice, probably a right tackle opportunity there. You're going to lose Sutall, and so there's an opportunity at right tackle. Then obviously Broderick Scholl probably feels more like a traditional left tackle a little bit. So those are 2 guys, that you feel like, hey, if there's an opportunity for a young on offensive line, it's probably those 2 guys.
Jason, some other guys that were on Auburn's campus over the weekend, want to just mention them real quick. Anthony Davis, the linebacker from Grayson, the 4-star. He's been to campus a million times. It's almost to a point of like, I don't know what to ask you, because you've been here for so many games, you've been here so many times. It's like, okay, what are we waiting on maybe? It feels like Auburn sits in a really good spot there. Another interesting one was Jace Matthews, a 4-star receiver from Greene County, Mississippi, was offered over the week. Came in for a visit. He said it was his second visit, actually camped over the summer. But Auburn was the 4th school to offer him, so he holds Auburn in pretty high regard early on. We'll do more probably on Thursday Night Live, previewing the Texas A&M game and some of those visitors once we get a better grasp of it, but there should be a really good group. One of the biggest ones is going to be Darion Smith, the Tennessee defensive line commit from St. Francis. He'll be in for his OV. Obviously teammates with guys like Bryce Dees, Blake Woodby, Wayne Henry, the 2026, all 3 of those commits. And look, flipping a guy from Rodney Garner is obviously never easy. Auburn fans know that very well, and now he's at Tennessee and has Darion Smith's commitment. But there's some rising confidence in this building behind us that they can pull that off. And this weekend will be, it'll be his first visit, and obviously probably his last visit to Auburn before signing day, and it'll be a key one.
Yeah, you're right. And we talk about relationships. Having a couple of teammates, a trio of teammates committed to Auburn is a big deal. And they've been working on that guy for a long time. And so Auburn, if you have, the atmosphere is going to be great Saturday night. That will have a big impact. If Auburn can go out and play well, pull off one of these games they haven't pull it off here, it could have a major impact on a guy like that.
Yeah, you think about just how important a win could be for Auburn, how much it could give. Obviously, you still have one game left, the Iron Bowl, but your last home game, a big home game at night. I think back to the Texas A&M game a couple years ago under Cadillac and how much energy there was, how many recruits were there, how excited they were.
Yeah.
To go out, you're not going out on the Texas A&M game, but it's your lasting impression for a lot of these guys, at least of them being on campus, of course, especially with signing day moved up, no in-home visits, stuff like that. It would really, a loss would not kill you. I mean, they've lost a lot of games already this year, but a win would certainly give you a lot of extra juice as you're trying to finish strong.
No question about it. Yeah, you get some energy, excitement, gives you a little more taste of, hey, here's what we've been telling you. Look, we're even closer now. They've been able to preach that, and they've been close, to push one over the edge would be massive, in my opinion. So, yeah, I think this is one where we've talked about it. Losses don't necessarily kill you, but a win can really help you, and I think this weekend would be one of those times.
Yeah, so we'll see. It should be a really, really big weekend, big game, big visitor list. We'll have more on that throughout the week at auburnundercover.com. We'll also preview it a little bit more on Thursday Night Live as well in terms of recruiting and, of course, the game. So make sure you're tuned in at auburnundercover.com, Auburn Undercover YouTube channel. Subscribe, like I said earlier, if you're not already. Appreciate everyone for listening wherever you get your podcasts.